ॐ प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। ध्यायामि चिन्मयानन्दम् गुरुदेवं महामतिम् प्रेमपूर्णं क्रियाशीलं सदा लोकहिते रतम् कृपालुं सुन्दराकारं समर्थं सत्यदर्शिनं वाचा तत्त्वप्रकाशिन्या शोकमोहविनाशिनम् ॐ On this auspicious day of Prathama Ekadashi, which has begun in India, we are very happy to start the 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Geetā, called Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yoga. This chapter is one more treat to all seekers of knowledge, Adhyatma Jidnasus, spread in 34 shlokas. This has several important parts, which are all of them are very helpful to us on the spiritual path. Calling this wisdom the greatest secret, the greatest wisdom. Vidyanam Raja, Guhyanam Raja. Therefore the two words come, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya. Sri Krishna presents to begin with the wisdom of the oneness that actually is the truth of this entire universe. There is a oneness which all do not see, but those who see that oneness, those who see that undivided truth get liberated. It is in that seeing itself that liberation takes place. And you will see soon as I open the Shankara Bhāshya, Shankaracharya himself says, though the 8th chapter praised some upasanas, praised the path leading to Brahmaloka, where the Jivatmas get so-called Krama Mukti, gradual liberation, the Shukla Gati, in contrast to Krishna Gati, that northern route in contrast to southern route, etc., was praised. Shankaracharya says, though all that was praised, please don't make the mistake of thinking that is the only way. In fact, the best and the foremost way is Samyak Darshan, right wisdom. But this wisdom of the purest kind is not easy. One in a million may be able to grasp it, have it. Therefore, the Shukla Marga, where there is no return, the Jivatmas leave the earth, they go to heaven, then they go further. Thanks to the enormous amount of merit that they had earned, they reach Brahmaloka, where again certain forces of this divine creation, expressing through Lord Brahma, ensure that these Jivatmas let go of their last traces of identification with individuality. That's what you and I need to do. After all, we, from the beginning till the end, have only one challenge before us. We are identified with I, me, and my, taking a personality as our own true nature. We have to let go of that. All Dharma Shastra, all Moksha Shastra, all Upasanas, all Karmas finally boil down to helping us get rid of this aham bhava, this ahankara in connection with the limited entity. We are not limited, we are the unlimited, unbound and unbounded. Pure Satchit is the teaching of the Gita. So Sri Krishna first gives to us in a few shlokas the wisdom of recognizing the inherent oneness in this entire creation. And this verse has an extra amount of bringing us closer to God, teachings that help us appreciate God. Therefore, that oneness also is expressed in such language as God is in everything, everything is in God. Sri Krishna declares his own divinity. I am in everything, everything is in me, and makes some puzzling statements. Having said I am in everything, he in the same shloka says, I am not in anything. So there is much discussion generally on that particular shloka we will take up, where two contradictory statements are made. I am in everything, I am not in anything. So how can you say that? We'll get it, we'll consider that. And afterwards, there is certain glorification of the God principle. God is our father, God is our mother, God is our grandfather, God is our protector, God is light of all lights. Many things are said about God's glory, for unless we have a certain intuitive grasp of the greatness of God, how can we ever be truly devoted to Him? Devotion to God has to be accompanied by a certain grasp, certain hunch, certain insight within. Not all need to give lectures on who God is, what God is. Sometimes those who give lectures may not understand God so much as some who are quietly doing sadhana, who do not speak much. For in your heart, if you have a certain deep feeling for God, and in your head, without expressing it much, you do have a tremendous understanding of His greatness, then half the battle is already won. With that knowledge in your head and feeling in your heart, you will one by one cross all the hurdles. Therefore, there are some very pretty, very charming, and poetically elegant shlokas in this chapter. No wonder, with that kind of description of God, Sri Krishna slowly comes to the latter portion of this chapter, where it is once more so sweet. He, in fact, assures all of us. He declares in this chapter, Name Bhaktaha Pranashyati. If somebody is devoted to me, it's then my responsibility to ensure that they do not come to ruin. Nothing wrong will happen to them. Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. Many punchlines of Bhagavad Gita are found in this chapter. Whoever devotedly thinks of me, it is my responsibility to take care of them, to get for them what they need, and to protect what they have with them which is necessary for them. Yoga and Kshema have those technical meanings. It is in this chapter that towards the end, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, even if you have lived a very wrong life, adharmic life, sinful life, you have hurt many people, you have let down many people, you have been ungrateful to people who at one time had helped you, or in any other manner in your life, suppose there is so much about which you repent, about which you have great regrets. Such a person is called not just durachara, sudurachara. Somebody whose conduct so far has been, the way he lived, the way she lived so far has been abominable. something nobody would appreciate. Even such a person can turn towards God, and if he really turns toward God, all that collected, accumulated mess, accumulated wrong tendencies, bad sanskaras, evil vasanas, all of them will be just washed away. Api chet suduracharo bhajate ma ananya bhav sadureva samantavyaha samyak vyavasito hi saha. Sri Krishna assures, moment you have truly turned towards God, no matter what your background is, I would say you are already a sadhu. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma, and people around see in a little course of time, that person is totally changing. Just a while ago, he was a papatma. Now he is becoming such a dharmatma. He overtakes so many others who used to boast of their spirituality. This guy or this lady goes way ahead. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati. And Bhagavan says in this chapter, Partha, Arjuna, go declare from the rooftops. Kaunteya pratijani name bhaktaha pranashyati. So it is a rich chapter with so much guidance, so much illumination, so much of assurance, so much of Bhagavan, Lord, standing by our side, holding our hand. And no wonder the ninth chapter ends also. The 34th sloka sums up everything in terms of action required on our part. The action required on our part is simply be God-minded. Manmana bhava madbhaktaha madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktvavam atmanam madparayana. I will say this again when we come to that point, but at this moment also, in a manner of saying, not dividing 700 verses into 350 this side and 350 that side. No, not that way. But if you take the last shloka of ninth chapter, before that shloka there are 9 chapters. And after that shloka there are 9 chapters. If you look at it from that angle of view, the last shloka of the ninth chapter is at the very center of the entire scripture. 9 chapters before, 9 chapters afterwards. The last shloka. Well, in a way, you may say the same about the first shloka of the 10th chapter too. Because if you take the first shloka of the 10th chapter, there are 9 shlokas there onwards, 9 chapters, and 9 chapters got concluded before. But scholars, saints, commentators, pravachankas have highlighted the last shloka of 9th chapter because it is also highly significant. The message there is so compelling. The message there is so simple. Even dull-witted people get the message. Manmana bhava. Don't do anything else but think of me, think of God, be God-mind. You can drive away all evil forces trying to make you fall, make you lose, make you miserable, and so on. Therefore, in 34 verses, we have, I would use the word once more, a veritable treat. It's a wonderful treat. If we study ninth chapter, I wouldn't be surprised if some of you then say, I don't think we have to study any other chapter. It looks like everything is in this chapter. I wouldn't be surprised. I would say, yes, I agree with you. Embrace ninth chapter and you will rise. You will rise, you will go on rising. Gita alone is enough, they say, and there also a chapter like ninth alone is enough. Would not be wrong, it would not be incorrect, it would be very, very justifiable. It has valid reasons for saying so. With this much of general introduction, we will now go to the very beginning where Adi Shankara before he gets down to the shloka proper, has a couple of sentences. As before, in his language, which is called Prasanna Gambhira. Prasanna, very pleasing, and Gambhira at the same time having a lot of weight. Every word is heavy with meaning, with significance. But for that significance sake, it doesn't become jatila, doesn't become very hard to understand. So he has achieved a terrific combination of being very pleasing in his language. At the same time, the language and the words have a lot of significance, meaning. So Shankara's commentary begins with the sentence referring to the previous chapter, namely the 8th chapter, Ashtame. Ashtame iti Ashtame adhyaye nadidvarena dharana yoga sagunaha uktaha. He uses two expressions. One is nadi. The word nadi has not come in the 8th, but Sri Krishna did talk about how the energy rises, how the prana has to be fixed in uh, the upper portion of our head, murdni. Murdni adhaya atmana pranam, an expression appears. In fact, it is said that bhruvor madhye pranamaveshya. Between the two eyebrows, fix your energy, fix your attention, and let the energy rise. He doesn't use the word kundalini, but those who study kundalini yoga will definitely find the 9th chapter or 8th chapter, which has already gone by, as very much supportive of their spiritual understanding. Therefore, calling it Nadi Dwarena, because there is certainly a hint at the Jivatma gathering Antakarana, the 5 sense organs, the 5 organs of action, and the 5 pranas. These together become the Jiva. As we have said a number of times, behind and beneath the visible sense organs, eyes, ears, nose, and so on, there are the invisible Sukshma Indriya, subtle sense organs. Sukshma Chakshushi, Sukshma Chakshu Netrejo, Sukshma Karnau, Sukshma Nasika, Sukshma Jihva, and Sukshma Tvacha. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin are not just what belong to the gross body, which is burnt or buried after death. Behind those which are part of the flesh and blood of this body, there are sukshma indriyas. And that applies to the 5 karmendriyas also. And then there are the 5 pranas. Then if you take antakarana as 4, it adds up to 19. If you take antakarana as mana buddhi, then it is 2. So 15 plus 2 is 17. Some other counting may take it to 21, doesn't matter. But leaving this gross body, which can be touched, we also can see our own hands. Others also can see our hands and the body and our face and so on. Therefore, the definition of stula is Indriya Gamyam Stulam. Indriya Agamyam Sukshmam. People cannot read our thoughts unless they are some yogis with supernatural powers. At a certain place, Swami Vivekananda said to the audience, probably in the United States, he just said in an inspired moment, anybody here wants to learn how to read another person's mind? I can teach it to you in a couple of hours. He's saying that, very next he says, but I would not encourage you to get carried away by these powers, reading somebody's mind, knowing future, knowing past. And these are called siddhis. Sanatana Dharma, which has always valued the liberation of the Jivatma above everything else, has actually cautioned us, do not fall a prey for these miraculous powers which surely can give you a kick. You may feel, I am superior to others, but sorry, having certain miraculous powers doesn't make you superior. If you are able to walk on water, if you are able to fly in the air, not on a plane, just by your own body, if you are able to read somebody's mind. When I was in high school, there was a boy who could look at us and move both his ears, you know, move them, make them vibrate without touching, of course. There are some who can do that with the nose, with different parts of the body, where for us there is no control over them, but they would do that. Everything. There are so many things which we used to, notice with our classmates. In fact, I for one could not even accomplish something that several of my friends were able to do. That is, you take a big glass of water, hold it up, and then without a break, you drink the whole thing without a break. Whereas even today, you give me a big glass of water, I'll take some into the mouth, swallow it, then take another, swallow it. You can't go on. Many of you perhaps can do that. That also generates a certain I can't do that, and so on. Siddhis are also like that. Temporarily, you may impress some people, but it doesn't help you really. Don't be surprised if some miraculous powers that you get make your life less happy than before. Maybe before getting all that, you are more at peace. Many a time, wealth is like that. Many a times, settling in some posh area of a town or settling in some prosperous city of the world with some glitter and glamour about it. Somebody says, I live in Manhattan, walking distance from the Central Park. What do you think? And so on. But you get closer to that person, don't be surprised. She or he has a long tail of tears. They have their own conflicts. Spirituality is all about ending sorrow, ending misery, ending conflict is what spirituality is all about. Spirituality is not about some miraculous powers. So, Sri Krishna dissuades, Vivekananda dissuaded the audience. So, Shankaracharya says here, Nadi Dwarena, that was the expression he used, and he also says Dharana Yoga. The word Dharana also, as you know, has certain distinct meaning in Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. However, what is meant here is Dharana means dhru dharati or dhru dharayati means to hold. So in beautiful meditation on God, you hold your mind without letting it run here and there. You hold your mind focused on God. You hold your mind on one object, right? So that itself is dharana. In Dana Yoga, we need not take the meanings attached to dharana in Raja Yoga. So in the Gita, primarily we are into Dana and Bhakti. We have, as you know, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, then Dharana. Sixth limb of the 8 limbs in Ashtanga Yoga. Then there are 2 more, Dhyana and Samadhi. That meaning need not be taken here. Dharana Yoga is what I already referred to before, how Sri Krishna in the earlier chapter said to us, hold your prana, for which the simple interpretation can be attention. Bring your attention to the midpoint of the eyebrows. Murni adhaya atmana pranam bhror madhye samyagaveshya pranan. All this. That is dharana. And therefore, nadi dvarena dharana yoga ukta saguna. Of course, it is not about nirguna. It has certain attributes, certain visualizing, certain looking at God. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram. He is the ruler. He is all-knowing. He is ancient. Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam. All this came in the 8th chapter. He supports all. He holds all of unthinkable greatness. Aditya Varnam Tamasak Parastat. So such expressions are what Bhashyakara is referring to. Sagunaha Ishvaraha Ukta. And Sagunaha here is adjective to Dharana Yoga itself. That spiritual practice also is marked by certain gunas, certain adorable qualities of God, of your practice, and of whatever benefits that finally accrue to you in all these saguna. Tasya cha phalam agni archi adi kramena. Agni, fire, archi, light, or one of them can be sun, other one can be fire. Kalantare. So this is talking about those two paths which came towards the end of the chapter. Shukla Krishne Gati Yete Jagata Shashvate Mate. Agnir Jyoti Raha Shuklam Shanmasa Uttarayanam was one path. Dhumo Ratris Tata Krishnaha Shanmasa Dakshinayanam was another path. So Agni Archi Archihi. Archi is Sakaranta, therefore Agnihi and Agni Archi together. Agni Ikaranta, Archis Sakaranta. Therefore, in the Samasa, Agni, but not Archi, Archis comes. It becomes Archir. Agni Archiradi Kramena Kalantare. So Shukla Marga, the white path, takes us to Brahmaloka, Brahma Prapti Lakshanam, and Kalantare, to reach Brahmaloka itself takes time. Anavritti Rupam Nirdishtam. There is no return from there, but it may take some more time for the Jivatma to get liberated. Tatra anena eva prakarena moksha prakti phalam adhigamyate na anyata iti tad ashanka vyavivarta ishaya. There is an ashanka. Someone may get a doubt, or someone may imagine, someone may guess. Oh, so the only way to go is the Agni Marga, Archi Marga, Shukla Marga, Uttarayana Marga, the northern road, the white, the bright path, not the dark path. That's the only way for us to get liberation. In this way, someone may imagine. Tad Ashanka. Sa Ashanka is Tada Ashanka Vyavirta Ishaya. Vyavritti means elimination. Wanting to cause Vyavritti is Vyavirta Isha. Jnana is knowledge, but wanting jnana is jijnasa. Karma is action. Wanting to do action is chikirsha. So there is a whole bunch of words in Sanskrit which have their own charm, their own sweetness. Vyavirta Ishaya. So at first it may be a bit of a tongue twister, but once you read regularly, read some shlokas daily, and read 4 lines of Shankara Bhāshya daily, whether you understand or not. Let it be a practice in rightly rightly pronouncing the words. Agnyarchiradikramena, a tricky word. Tadashanka vyavirta ishaya. Little difficult to recite it without making a little error generally. But practice makes us perfect. And when you read 4 or 5 sentences of Shankara Bhāshya daily, there is much more blessing there. than just getting the skill of reciting or pronouncing Sanskrit words properly. Even with very limited knowledge of Sanskrit, you will appreciate certain suggestions that come out in the Bhashya. So he says, with an intention to eliminate Vyavirta, Vyavivartaisha. Vyavivartaisha is the intention to eliminate doubts. So we are seeing such words in Shankara Bhāshya here. Ashanka Vyavirtaisha. See, I myself. Ashanka Vyavivartaisha. So that is the intention. And Sri Krishna says here, Moksha Prapti Phalam Adhigamyate Anena Eva Prakarena. Only this way, not in any other way. If somebody imagines, that doubt has to be eliminated. Therefore, Shankara Bhāshya says here, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. This is how we start the 9th chapter. Lord Krishna introduces us to the very first shloka of the 9th chapter. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyamyanasuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajnatva mokshyase shubhat. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. The Blessed Lord said to Arjuna, Idam tu te guhyatamam. Guhya itself means secret, something that people do not know. Most people miss it out. Only very few people know something. If there is something which very few people know, that is called secret. Guhya, a greater secret is Guhya Tara, and the greatest secret is Guhya Tama. Tara and Tama are what we call comparative and superlative degrees. In Sanskrit language, we put Tara for comparative degree, Tama for superlative degree. And taking this Tara and Tama, a noun is formed. Many of you know that word, Taratamya. Suppose in any context there is some hierarchy, there is some gradation. In some organization, there is somebody on top, 5 people on the next rung, another 10 people in the lower rung, then hundreds below that. That is Taratamya. In Madhva Siddhanta, the Dvaita Siddhanta, they talk about Taratamya even among gods. In Advaita Siddhanta, we, at least with regard to Vishnu, Shiva, Ganesha and so on, we say on a deeper level, they are one God with many forms. They are one. Shiva is Vishnu and Vishnu is Shiva. And don't say, oh, this is higher and that is lower. You take one form, you do your upasana. That's the teaching. But in Madhva Siddhanta, Sriman Madhvacharya, whose main station was and is Udupi, he said, no. Among all the so-called gods or divine figures, Hari, Mahavishnu, is on top. There is no dispute, there is no second opinion there. Hari Sarvottama, they use the word. Sriman Madhvamate Hari Parataraha. This is how one of there is some shloka with 9 aspects of Madhva Siddhanta. The first thing said is in Madhva Siddhanta, Hari is on top. And Brahma and Shiva and Ganesha or Kartikeya or Varuna or Indra, any other you mention, they are all at lower levels. So they have a very strict Taratamya, which is not so in Advaita Siddhanta, promoted, highlighted by Sri Shankaracharya. Advaita, Dvaita and Vishishtadvaita existed before Shankara, Ramanuja and Madhva also. But at their time, they popularized it, they systematized it, the Trimata we call it, the three schools of Vedanta. All the three of them are Vedanta only, because all three of them are drawn from Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, and one more, Brahma Sutras. Prasthanatraya lays the foundation for all these three schools of thought. Therefore, Dvaita Vedanta Darshana, Advaita Vedanta Darshana, Vishishtadvaita Vedanta Darshana. All the three are Vedantas. So there is Taratamya. But now here we are talking about Guhyatamam. The greatest secret, Sri Krishna says, in this universe is, I am going to tell you, listen, Pravakshyami. And Lord Krishna is such an excellent motivational speaker, because you can imagine Arjuna was in despondency, Arjuna was in sorrow, tremendous inner conflict. And generally, when you and I are going through some tremendous conflict, we are not ready for high philosophy. We want some painkiller. We want somebody to solve our problem quickly. Though Arjuna was no ordinary man, he had divine qualities. He was born of the Ansha, the part, the aspect of Sakshat Indra. He is Indra's son, and the Mahabharata we know. The five Pandavas plus Karna, the sixth, but he was the first one, I should say Karna and the five Pandavas. All of them were born with the blessings of particular devatas. Karna from Surya, Arjuna from Indra, and Bhima from Vayu. Like that you have names. So, well, to some extent Arjuna had the receptivity. He, in spite of all his problems, he was able to listen. To some extent, he was able to listen out of great love and regard for Sri Krishna, but not enough. In order to motivate him further, Sri Krishna uses complementary words at many places. One of them is here, that is Anasuyave. Anasuyave is the Chaturthi Vibhakti of Anasuyu. Asuya means being envious. Somebody has something which I wanted to have, and I am very unhappy that he has, I don't have. I should have had that car. I should have that kind of house. I should have become popular like he has become, and so on. That is Asuya. Asuya also has a technical meaning rather than just envy or jealousy. Asuya in the Shastras, in some commentaries by great acharyas, is given a technical definition in Sanskrit, Guneshu Dosha Darshanam. Guneshu, in some good qualities that someone may have, we try to see something bad. Somebody sings very well, we say, yeah, she sings very well, but come here, I'll tell you something about her. She and her husband fight every day, you know that? Something like that. Who is talking about that? We are only talking about how well she sings. But you, if you are unhappy, you are envious. You don't like the other person to be praised. Therefore, you say, she may be a good singer, but she has this problem. Or in her singing itself, you find some fault. So that is Asuya. Anasuya is the quality of not doing that, not finding fault with people who have certain merit. Rather, you appreciate that merit, and along with others, you also wholeheartedly praise them. You wholeheartedly accept their greatness. That is Anasuya. And somebody who has Anasuya is Anasuyu. Just as somebody has Jijnasa becomes Jijnasu. Somebody who has Mumuksha becomes Mumukshu. So Arjuna is Anasuyu. And then to such Arjuna who is Anasuyu, that is where it becomes Anasuyave. You have a word like Guru, you want to say my salutations to Guru. Then you have to say Namaha Gurave. Like that, Anasuyave. To you, Arjuna, who has such a noble character, you are straightforward, you are transparent, you are honest, you get angry for right causes. If you ever lift your bow and arrow, it is always against some evildoer. You are filled with noble qualities, among them especially. You are not somebody to find fault with noble teachings. Therefore, I am very willing to give you these teachings with the full confidence that you will receive them with all regard and not put it aside saying, this won't work for me, etc. That is also one way of finding fault. There are people who go from one guru to another, then to another guru, then to a fourth and a fifth, and so on. Because with every guru whom they approach, they are initially excited. After a while, something disturbs them. Their mind gets rajas and tamas operating in it. They were sattvic when they came to this particular ashram, and everything was beautiful. Within some time, rajas and tamas rise. They find fault with everything in the ashram and they find fault with the guru also. Then they walk away. That is called asuya, guneshu, dosha darshanam. But anasuyu, Sri Krishna expresses total confidence in Arjuna being able to receive this highest wisdom. Jnanam vijnana sahitam. Jnana and vijnana. Two words are used, and we will see what exactly this jnana and ajnana mean. Jnana is Shastra Jnana. Vijnana, Shankaracharya also says, Anubhava Yuktam. So Sri Krishna promises to Arjuna, I will now instruct you in certain ways where you not only appreciate the orderliness of the teachings, everything looks logical, everything looks so well said, but also you will personally feel the truth of those statements. Here, of course, in no way we are saying, as per Sri Krishna's promise, during the discourse, this chapter 9, or at the end of it, Arjuna gets the clearest glimpse and he is liberated. No, Arjuna never gets liberated, but he gets total clarity with respect to his duty by the end of the 18 chapters. Therefore, this is how Sri Krishna motivates Arjuna. From Sri Krishna's side, he gives the most splendid insights, guidance. But Arjuna's eligibility was not all that high. He was not Nachiketa, he was not Uddhava, he was not any of those students of the Upanishads. He was not Shaunaka, he was not Shvetaketu. He was not, in the Chandogya we have Narada receiving Bhuma Vidya from Sanat Kumara. In the same Chandogya, in another chapter, we have Indra, who first falters, first shakes, first wobbles, but he gathers himself, and then from Prajapati, Indra receives the highest wisdom, whereas Virochana falls by the side. So Arjuna is not Indra of Chandogya, Shvetaketu of Chandogya. He is not Nachiketa of Kathopanishad. He is not Uddhava of Bhagavatam. Arjuna is Arjuna of Mahabharata. Therefore, while from Sri Krishna's side, the highest wisdom was transmitted, by God's will only, Arjuna's mindset remained a little bit on the Karma Yoga level by God's will. Because one of you may ask, Sri Krishna being omnipotent, Sarva Shakta, in an instant he could have given Arjuna the eligibility required to realize Brahman in fullness. But no, Sri Krishna could have done it, but he did not want to do it. When Vivekananda said to Sri Ramakrishna, give me that experience of Nirvikalpa Samadhi once more, I just want to remain in that bliss, unalloyed bliss. With a mischievous smile on his face, Sri Ramakrishna says to Vivekananda, I won't give you that. I gave you a glimpse of it, I gave you a taste of it, but now I am not going to give you extended period of the bliss of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. I want you to do some work on the earth. You finish the work, then you will get all this again. Very interesting story. So, Arjuna, like Vivekananda, had work before him. He had to finish his work. Therefore, though literal meaning of this is Anubhava Yuktam Jnanam Pravakshyami, Shastra Jnanam Pravakshyami, along with it, Anubhava Yuktam Vijnanam Pravakshyami. Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam Yat Jnatva, knowing which Ashubhat Mokshase. Upon knowing this wisdom, you will be totally freed from all that is inauspicious. What is inauspicious here? Shankara Bhāshya says, Bandhana, Samsara Bandhanat. Let me see. Samsara Bandhanat. For continuing to exist in egoistic realm, continuing to think of ourselves as this personality which won there but lost here, which was well received there but is much insulted here. Individuality is like that. When you and I are individuals, that's how we experience us. It's a story of sometimes going up and some other times coming down. So, Ashubhat Mokshase. Ashubha here is samsara. Mokshase, you get liberated. The rest of it, Sri Shankaracharya says, Idam Brahmajnanam Vakshamanam Idam Tute Guhyatamam is the shloka. Idam means Brahmajnana, the wisdom of the highest Brahman. Uktancha Purveshu Adhyayeshu. In earlier chapters also it was mentioned. Now also it will be mentioned. I am going to mention again Vakshamanam, which will be said in future chapters too, and Uktam, which was said in previous chapters. Because all the chapters in their own different ways give to us that Brahma Vidya. Tat buddhau sannidhi kritya idam ityaha. Though he had said it before, he brings it once more in his own mind, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, and then says this. Tu shabdaha vishesha nirdharanartha. There is something different or distinct about the way it will be put this time. It's not simply repeating what was said before. Essentially, it is the same teaching, but the way, the communication style is going to be different. That is called Vishesha. Vishesha Nirdharanartha. In some versions, in the book that you have of Shankara Bhāshya, you may be having Visheshanartha and Visheshanartha. Here Vishesha Nirdharanartha. So both mean the same. Visheshana Artha, Vishesha Nirdharana Artha. So idameva tu samyak jnanam sakshat moksha prapti sadhanam. Vasudeva sarvamiti. Seventh chapter had said it. As you and I evolve, our mind becomes more mature, we become more receptive. Then we realize, oh my God, Vasudeva alone is everything. Vasudeva sarvam. Outside and inside, in a crawling ant and in Chaturmukha Brahma, Brahmadi Pipili Tanushu Prota Jagat Sakshini, as Manisha Panchakam puts it. From Chaturmukha Brahma, who creates this universe, to a crawling ant, Pipilika, that one truth alone shines, one truth alone is. So that is Sakshat Mokshayaka Sadhana. It directly gives to you liberation if you not just say the words or enjoy the charm of the concept, but actually see. That seeing is indescribable. Sakshat, directly. Whereas that Shukla Marga of the last chapter was not direct, via Brahmaloka, via some length of time and so on. Acharya Shankara gives a few quotes. In Chandogya 7th chapter, there is a line, Atma eva idam sarvam. Atma alone is everything. That's where I said oneness, the teaching of oneness. Atma is up there and we are down here, will become duality. But Atma alone is up there, down here, to the right, to the left. Dakshinataha, Vamataha, Uttarataha, Urdhvam, Adastat. In Chandogya 8th chapter, there is that 8th or 7th. Bhuma Vidya, it is said. Brahma is above, Brahma is below, Brahma is to the right, Brahma is to the left. Brahma or Bhuma, that itself. Ekamevadvitiyam, Chandogya 6th chapter, Uddalaka saying to Shvetaketu, it is one and one without a second. It alone is. Ityadi Shruti Smritibhya. Gita being a Smriti, Vasudeva Sarvamiti was a quote from Gita, Smriti, and the two quotes from Chandogya are Shruti, Veda. Then Na Anyat. This was the teaching, not any other. If any other teaching impresses some people and they go for it, about them Chandogya says, Ata ye anyatha ataha viduhu, anya rajanaha, having others as the worship-worthy kings, worship-worthy figures, kshaya lokaha te bhavanti. Well, they also attain certain heights, but those heights are kshaya. They decay. Eventually, they decay and go away. To you, te tubhyam guhyatamam gopyatamam pravakshyami katayishyami. Synonyms. Anasuyave asuyarahitaya. Kim tat jnanam? Kim vishishtam? What kind of jnana? Well, this jnana will not just be shastra jnana, vijnana sahitam, anubhava yuktam. Yat jnanam jnatva, knowing which, prapyate, another prapya, attaining which, moksha se ashubhat, sansara bandhanat. Samyak sarati iti sansara. Endlessly you go from one misery to another. There is no total freedom from misery, from suffering, from sorrow. That is sansara. Whereas in moksha, there is ending of all sorrow. Dukkhantam cha nigacchati, as elsewhere it is said. In this way, in this 9th chapter, we made a beginning. We will carry on next Tuesday evening in the west and Wednesday morning in the east. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.